Holy smokes, do I love this game. Not just because it's a tabletop death race with lore straight out of a Kurt Russell action movie, but because of its unique, affordable, and frankly fun as hell process for putting your team together. So follow along as I show you how to turn this Hot Wheel into this bite-sized battle wagon. Material list in the description, let's go! This is the car we're working with. It's an 87 Audi Quattro, and I found it at a grocery store for $1. The cheapest model kit I've ever bought. Now, our first step is to take it apart. You'll notice at the bottom there are two little screws. All you gotta do is drill them out. I found that one is usually made of metal and the other of hard plastic, so it's not a tall order to get through. As you'll see, I even did it by hand with my 3/16 drill bit in about 10 to 15 minutes. And once through, you can just pop the bottom off and separate the pieces. Most of these cars come with the chassis, the body, the plastic glass piece, and an interior piece, which also serves as a spacer. I'm going to get rid of the glass piece. Glass is a liability in car combat, and it gives me some space to do some up-armoring. Now I'm busting out my sheets of mesh. I cut out a little square for the windshield. I would highly recommend using gloves for this one. Do as I say and not as I do. It gets real pokey. And then once it's cut, I just hot glue it into place. I repeat the process for the back window. Next, I'm taking a piece of cardboard and cutting a template for the side window armor panels. I trace the shape of the window by holding the car up to the scrap cardboard and tracing it with a pencil. Next, I trace that template onto a piece of sheet polystyrene and use an X-Acto knife to cut it. The material is pliable enough where you can just snap it out if you don't cut all the way through. Then I hot glue it into place and repeat for both sides. While I was at it, I thought I'd cut out some small strips to reinforce the back and front windows. It also hides the seams. I didn't use a template for this, I just cut out some small rectangles. I thought these side armor panels were a little bit bare, so I cut some toothpicks down to act as reinforcing bars or something. I don't know, it's really just to break up these flat, barren surfaces. Repeat on the other side, and we're looking impenetrable. Now the most critical step, the gun. The turret came from a Thingiverse gun set for Gaslands, which I'll provide a link in the description. Though I have successfully used guns from Warhammer kits and other sources. Your imagination is the limit here. Now just pop it back together and glue it shut. Now that's a killer whip. And now we're off to paint. Starting with a flat gray primer, something told me that this car should be orange. So I put down 4 or 5 very thin coats of orange to get it to the brightness that I'm looking for. It's okay if your paint job looks a little bit rough. It's not like we're going to be spending our bullet money on car washes here. Note that I'm also getting orange on all the metal areas. I don't mind this so much because it unites all of the different colored areas on the car, and any orange poking through the metallic paint jobs can be written off as rust. Next up are the metals. I've fallen in love with the Army Painter's Death Metal. It's got a really interesting greenish hue and needs a little bit of work to reach its full potential, which I will explain later, but I have fallen in love with it. So that goes on all of the armor panels. Now for the areas I want to separate from the armor, I'm using Army Painter's Gunmetal. And next, I put a little bit of blackish brown on the bumpers and the tire rubber. Now, I felt like all of this orange needed to be broken up a bit, so I got a wild hair up my ass and decided it'd be fun to freehand a racing stripe. Using your standard mechanical pencil and a straight edge, I sketched the lines out on the hood of the car, and just a little chevron in there to break up the solid shape to come. Once I've got my design laid out, I go in with a white paint, just a couple thin coats. Then I use my pencil's eraser and get rid of any stray graphite marks on the model. Then I go back in with the orange paint, clean up the edges, and throw in a couple dots and lines to make it look like the white paint has chipped in certain areas. And while I have orange paint on the palette, I'm going to water it down and stain random areas of the metallic parts of the model, just to make it look a little more rusty. Next, I pin wash, very carefully going over the recesses with a black wash. I'm only doing this for the body of the car though, because I don't want to have to go back and clean it up with another coat of orange paint. I'm drowning the metallics though. I want these parts to look greasy, dark, and oily. This is also the part that really makes that death metal paint sing. It takes on a certain darkness and I would say looks almost evil. Same goes for the parts I've painted black. Then a light dry brush of gunmetal over top of the metallics, and we are set. My final step is weathering. I'm taking a cut up piece of sponge, dipping it in black paint, and then like how one would with a dry brush, I dry it off on a paper towel, then lightly stamp it across the model. It's little accents like these that bring a project to life. Then I finish up with a tan dry brush to make the whole thing look dusty and accentuate the raised edges of the model. There you go, a rough and ready Gaslands car. You only need a couple of these to get a game going. You're not painting full armies here. I think this is one of the more unique hobby processes in tabletop gaming. It's super cheap and it's a lot of fun. Gaslands is a great game and I recommend giving it a try. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more miniature painting content.